Newmarket, Haydock
will definitely win.
Back with the definitely. Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by BetMGM with myself, Kate Tracy, alongside Andrew Mount and Dave Young, to look forward to 8 races this week. We're kind of splitting the difference from the past 2 weeks on the show. 8 races this week, but from a variety of tracks, Newmarket, Haydock and the Curragh as well. And hopefully the weather will play enough ball for us, because it did inhibit us a little bit last week, though we had a whole plethora of non-runners though. That being said, Dave was still bullish about Moorlam, who's just touched off at 28 to 1. So the each way profit was had there. At Air, even Andrew kicked off the coverage with a well-backed winner in Arrogant Castle, who SP'd at 18 to 5, which is a wonderful price, but was obviously much bigger than when this video came out, sported towards the off. Dave's Austrian Theory, he nabbed a place at 11 to 1, pretty much with all firms paying for places. Near miss in the 150 for Andrew, Enfajar half length second. And of course, as you say, we've touched upon Moorland's narrow defeat in the Firth of Clyde for Dave at 28 to 1, who also picked up place money for his 2 Air Gold Cup picks as well, in Jordan Electric 16 to 1, Comanche Falls 25 to 1, and of course Lethal Levi then going and winning the feature himself. And as Dave has kindly said then in a note, Kinross and Lethal Levi, even the 2 of my absolute favourites then coming to the fore. Did I have money on either of them? No, I did not. I would take just as much satisfaction over them winning. Right, on with the racing. We're going to begin. Pardon?
Liar.
Honestly, it actually did pain me when I saw him winning at 20 to 1. I was like, I've not got a penny on you for once. Right. Hopefully we'll find some more this week. Newmarket 115, the Jersey Lily Fillies Nursery Handicap for the 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs. Andrew, do you want to kickstart us?
Yes, some interesting stats associated with this race, but they're not particularly helpful. Well, in the last 10 years, only 3 of the winners ran in a nursery last time out, from 55 runners. You back all the ones who ran in a nursery last time, you'd have done your brains, minus £42.17. In the last 8 years, it's just 1 from 46 for horses who contested a nursery. That's quite an exciting stat, because you think you're going to rule out an awful lot of those near the head of the market. I mean, last time out winners who ran in nursery, last time out nursery winners, 0 from 12 in the last 8 years. Yeah, so there's loads that fall down on that stat. And so yeah, sort of don't be just looking, going straight to the likes of Ghost Run and Nana, who won nurseries last time. Newmarket Train Runner's done pretty well as well, won 6 of the last 8. There was a few I was interested in. Beauty Nation for George Bowie, who so a sort of funny old campaign. Won first time out at Kempton, quite comfortably, went favourite, and then blew out when 9-4 on at Wolverhampton next time, but did blow the start. And then returned from a short break last time to run mid-division in a nursery at Doncaster, went 20 to 1. I thought slower ground might suit this one, so Billy Loughnane on board, 16 to 1 seemed fair enough. And the other one was the first time Hood going on the Rafe Beckett runner at Royal Equerry. That's been a positive angle for the yard with fillies. I think sort of 3 of the last 7 have won in this headgear. But it wasn't a race I was particularly keen on. I'll just come down the side of Royal Equerry in the hope that the rain isn't quite as bad as some forecasts are making out. It's chucking it down at the moment, Thursday afternoon at Newmarket. Forecast to dry out on Saturday itself, but we're sort of guessing it could be good to soft, it could be heavy. So do keep an eye on the weather, but I'll go Royal Equerry. Very, very tentative.
10 to 1 with BetMGM is half that price with another firm there. So 10 to 1 BetMGM is the top price I can see for now. But the other one you were talking about, Beauty Nation, is at 12 BetMGM then. So yeah, 10 to 1 is the main selection, Royal Equerry. But watch the weather, Dave. How many times do we say that throughout the whole entirety of a season?
We say it too much.
I
like wearing shorts all year round anyway. So I'm normally in like a rain jacket and shorts. So I'm sort of covered for both types of weather at all.
Could have been a postman.
When Andrew's mentioned loads of things there, like talking about horses that are last time out winner, running a nursery handicap, they were all music to my ears. The only thing I don't like that Andrew said was the forecast that it could potentially turn up as heavy. So don't say that again, please, Andrew. But the one that I like, I think ticks enough boxes, is a horse that I've had slightly on my radar. I think she's bumped into quite a few nice types. He touched on the last time out winners. They are they were towards the head of the market. Kate said there that obviously Royal Equerry is as short as 5-1. I think I can see as big as 12-1 in places as well. It's a real mishmash of a market. I don't think anyone really knows what's going on. But the last time out winners I wanted to take on, Shining Pearl's the one that I landed on. First time in a handicap here. Had 4 runs up to now. They put cheap pieces on this time. Unfortunately, she's just bumped into quite a few decent horses. She bumped into Miss Tonnerre, who was 4th next time out in a Group 2 fillies race. She was beaten by Duty First, who then either won or ran really well in a Group 3 next time out. I think she might have been 2nd. So they're good lines of form. They're both sort of 90s rated horses. This horse comes in here off of 79 now. She was rated 81st time up for a mark when she ran behind Consent. Now, when she ran behind Consent, she wandered quite a bit in the home straight. The winner that day was first time up, looked like it could be quite a progressive horse, was pretty well supported as well. But they've applied the cheap pieces here for Shining Pearl, which sometimes we'll see later on. There's handicappers that will have headgear on that maybe they're a little bit roguey and it's to straighten them out. I think this one, maybe it's just a little bit of continued greenness, I would say. That time she wandered about last time. If she didn't do that, she would have got a lot closer to Consent. She wouldn't have beaten her, but I definitely think she's got mileage in her mark of 79. She might not be like the very best handicapped horse in this race, but I reckon she's a 90s filly in here, and I think 79 is probably sort of underrating what she could potentially achieve on handicap debut as well. They may have left a little bit to work with. So 10-1 top price, 4 places up for grabs in some places. Shining Pearl for me.
For Carl Burke as well, then that man Carl Burke, and whether or not he can continue the success from last weekend into this weekend. Dave hoping he'll get off to a flyer. 130 at Haydock now, 0-105 handicap, 3 rods and over a mile. 7-2 the field then in this one. So dare we talk about the Haydock weather as well, Dave?
Oh, it's Haydock, isn't it? So you just assume it's always
So
going to be wet. So that's always like an easy one. And that it is already soft. There is a bit of rain about. Even if it was dry from now until the end of the year, it would still be classed as soft summer, wouldn't it? But I think it's quite nice because I think trainers, connections and the horses, they know what's going to happen this sort of time of year, especially at somewhere like Haydock. So I think there's a few horses that have probably been targeted into here. The 2 handicaps we cover at Haydock, they for me are like the epitome of Saturday televised races, because I'm pretty sure you could make a case for every single runner in this race and you wouldn't necessarily be surprised what the result was. But something that's less surprising is the selection that I will be putting up in here, because it's 2 horses I'm going to go for. I'm going to split the stakes. They're both horses that I've tipped up before. One of them's Earls for Gavin Cromwell, who obviously had the Kerry National winner this week with Florin Porter. This is a drop back in class as far as I'm concerned for Earls. It's a lower prize money race, but a bit of an easier target. The last couple of runs as well this horse has had, penultimate start, they just weren't bothering. And then the last start was a bit of an eye catcher considering things didn't necessarily go his way. So I think they potentially ran him in those races because they were big races to see how he could go, but they had one eye on coming back here. He won over 7 furlongs, didn't he, before on bad ground. This is up to a mile. I think it'll be fine. His mark looks workable, so I definitely want to have a bit on him because we know what the Irish Raiders are like. The other one that I want to back, because I think everything's come to fruition for this horse, is Raadobarg. I tipped him a while back at Leicester when I said, I think he was off of 105 then maybe, that I thought he would absolutely romp home in there. He ran terrible. He was one of a couple of horses we could talk about this week that I tipped up, expecting big runs that just didn't really come out. They gave the horse a bit of a break after. They did say after the race as well, the jockey, that the horse ran a bit flat. But the reason I liked him a lot then is because he'd had a win on decent ground or run really well on heavy ground. That was soft going. And since then, he's not really had the ground to do his best bit of work. I think he's just got conditions finally to come back into like suit his particular running style. He is a little bit, that sounds rude to say, but he is potentially like a little bit roguey when you look at his form, but I'm blaming it more on the ground more than anything. So he's got some all right-ish form in there. He had a third to Elna Jam on good to firm ground, which I don't think would have suited. Now that the rain has come, I think Raadobarg at 7-1 would be one that I'll play, but I'll pair him up with Earls because it does look a pretty competitive race.
And 2 old friends then of yours as well coming to the fore once again. We know that Dave is as loyal as they come, Andrew. You, not much so when we're coming to horses. You're happy to dismiss them on sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Raadobarg's one of those because my theory is he's very much got a touch of the Boardmans about him, that he's a spring horse. He's won 5 from 10 from March to May. He's 0 from 17 from the 1st of June onwards. Though in theory, it does look like he probably just needs soft ground, but then he's had conditions to suit in the past in the autumn months and not done particularly well. They're quite keen on Earls as well, like Davies. Ross Colin's a bit of a tricky one. We know he loves steep ground. He won at Goodwood the other day, when well backed. But he does seem to be better on switchback type tracks, doesn't he? The sort of likes of Epsom and Goodwood. He won on his first start at Haydock, but his 4 visits here since have been followed by resulted in defeats. And again, I think it's the last sort of 4 or 5 times he's won, he's bombed out next time. So yeah, Roscommon probably, if this was Goodwood or Epsom, you'd be all over Roscommon, but I guess he wouldn't be 11-2, he'd be 3-1 favourite. So I'm just going to come down the side of Earls. I've not done as much work on this race as I have on most of the others, so I've not looked at the pace map. And if there is, there could be one that looks like getting loose on the lead. So I do need to do more work on this. So as we always say, as well as keep an eye on the weather, keep an eye on my column on Saturday.
There are your 2 bingo card lists then. Yeah, weather and on the columns as well. Now we're going to head back to Newmarket again for the 150. This is the Group 2 Royal Lodge Stakes for the 2-year-olds, over a mile each way plus race with BetMGM. 3 places on offer for this one. And Luther it is then, who seems to have had a lot spoken about him, who currently heads the way. Wimbledon Hawkeye is next in. But yeah, at least we've got those 3 places on offer, Andrew. But do you need them or not?
It's a good question. It's a very good race, this. I mean, Luther's had a fantastic season. 2 wins, and in between those 2 wins, a half-length second to New Century and listed company Salisbury. And of course, those who follow the American racing will know that New Century went to, the North American races. Woodbine in Canada was the venue for New Century's Grade 1 win. Was it last Saturday or the week before that? So, yes, really good form that to finish second to that one. Will the ground be too soft for him, though? That is the question. So Frankel has yet to race in anything worse than good. Wimbledon Hawkeye was the one I put up each way at York against the Lion in winter. Ran absolute blind to finish second at 22-1. However, he was prominent towards the inside, which is where you wanted to be. You could argue he was a shade flattered by that. He'll probably be suited by the step up to 1 mile, but he's never raced on anything worse than good. And I thought he was priced up sort of quite defensively at 100 to 30 or thereabouts, so it wouldn't be for me. At a price, the one I was looking at was Law of Design for Brian Mear. You normally have to give your head a shake if you fancy one from this yard, but horses who won at Ascot ran at Ascot last time have got a good record in this race. And this one I thought was quite impressive there last time out on soft ground. So just the fact that he's proven on the ground and he's only had a couple of runs, so there could be more to come, I'll go Law of Design. But again, if you are playing each way in this race, there are already firms offering 3 places, even though there's only 7 runners. Do keep an eye out for non-runners as well as keeping an eye out for the weather, keeping an eye out for the selections in my column on Saturday. So yeah, we're going to see some each way terms change in some of Saturday's races, I think, because of the non-runners. But Law of Design, again, sort of small each way play.
That's very true. They do watch out for those each way plays. And potentially this at this moment in time with the 7 runners is an each way plus race BetMGM with 3 places on offer, but do just watch out for a few non-runners throughout the day. Then at Newmarket, potentially Law of Design, though, proven on the ground for Andrew. Dave, who'd you like?
I like all of them, to be fair. It's a real proper good race, isn't it? It's a Group 2. We've got a couple of Group 1s and another Group 2 in these like 4 next successive races. I could waffle for hours about all of them, so I will rein it in a little bit. Like I said, I've got opinions on every single one of the horses. The Luther run in the Ascendant Stakes, Hawksbill got a bit caught of room on the inside. They were waiting with Luther as well. Now, Luther quick and clear like a real good horse, and like Andrew's touched on, the form's been more than franked by what New Century did next time out. I just can't believe that Hawksbill's 50-1 when Luther's 9-4. So Hawksbill's not definitely going up as a bet in this, but he's grossly overpriced. So he shouldn't be as big a price as he is. I think he's overpriced, but I don't just like betting something just because it's way too big a price. He probably should be like a 16s or a 20s poke, and he would probably run like that. It would take 20 run-ins for him to win the race, but want to get that out of the way. The one I do like, contrary to Andrew dismissing him, is Wimbledon Hawkeye. I think I'm kind of possibly looking at this not necessarily with just form view in here. I think he's pretty good form that run last time in the Acomb Stakes, because as much as it was a Group 3, the terms have changed. Potentially it's as good as a Group 1 on paper. We've got the Lion and Winter in there. We've got Ancient Wisdom he ran behind as well. Both of those horses are very prominent for the 2,000 guineas in the Derby next year. So I'm praying that Wimbledon Hawkeye does run really well, because then that's another boost to those form lines and we continue to get excited for next year. I think if Wimbledon Hawkeye was to bomb in this, then it would potentially make you start to question some of those other lines of form. But what I saw the Lion and Winter do second time up was really impressive. Debut when he won up before the ACOM, I thought he looked like a weapon. What Ancient Wisdom did in that Superlative Stakes looked pretty decent as well. So I think that Wimbledon Hawkeye is actually quite a good horse. He's the highest rated in the field. 130 seems like a fair enough price for me to take a swing at him.
Okay, happy to take a swing at him then. And contrary to Andrew's opinion on Wimbledon Hawkeye, all the same. Right, we're going to stick at Newmarket for the 225 now. This is for the Group 1 Cheveley Park Stakes for the 2-year-olds over 6 furlongs. Babouche heads the way then after 3 wins on the bounce so far. The same case can be said for Lake Victoria, for Ballydoyle coming over as well. So, Dave, who do you like in the Group 1?
Again, I like most of them, to be fair. This is a proper Group 1. You got the first 3 in the betting hill, the top 3 rated, 112, 112 and 110. We're going to come on to the boys Group 1 in a minute. We've only got 1 horse that's rated anywhere near those sorts of numbers. So we are going to see a very good filly win this. But I think it's pretty obvious, to be fair. And I think we're only getting a price about this horse because of those ratings of the ones in behind. Because Babouche beat Whistle Jacket last time, and you can read the Racing Post comments saying that he was short of room and all that sort of stuff, but she battered him. And that's a proper open company Group 1. I mean, I say open company, it's obviously age restricted, but she's beaten the boys. He went out and won a Group 1 after. Again, when we talk about the boys version, we're going to see that he's a short price favourite in there, albeit he's got less to beat than last time. I just thought the horse was really impressive. There's only one horse in it that's had fewer runs, which is Rebecca. Very difficult to know what that horse has done, but she's potentially as unexposed as everything else in it, except what she has done is already won a Group 1. Lake Victoria was like a good winner last time out, but that was the race where Bedtime Story was in there, wasn't it? And they all finished in a bit of a heap that day. Now, Bedtime Story went off really keen. Everyone talked about it punditry wise that the horse just had a bit of a mum in her and she was just too keen. I didn't think she was. I thought she went an okay gallop, tried to do things from the front and then just disappointed in the finish. But she has been reported to come out of that race lame. So I wouldn't trust that form will stand up for Lake Victoria. She's been rated 112 off the back of it because that's all they can do, but don't think she's good enough. And then Daylight just can't get near Babouche on some form lines with other horses. So Babouche, top price of 13 to 8, I think she is, looks a massive price. She will definitely win the Cheveley Park Stakes.
Oh, here we go. He's
Careful, gamble responsibly.
He's back with the definitely. Yes, we always preach to gamble responsibly there, but Dave confident then as ever. Andrew, who definitely maybe perhaps wins for you.
Is there a money back guarantee, Dave? And can I reveal your home address at the end of the show so I can write to you for a refund?
Dave's bet.
Yeah, this is very tricky, isn't it? The interesting thing about Babouche is that he's trained by Gail Lyons, Mr. Lyons, who's not got a very good record with his British runners in recent years. 2 from 72 in the last 10 years. The expected number of winners was closer to 8. And he hasn't had a winner in Britain since August 2019. Obviously, he's running in some of the better races, but they're still underperformed compared to what the market suggests they should do. Daylight, I was concerned about the running style, patiently ridden, always a bit of a worry. And we haven't mentioned pace for the draw. It's amazing how many times races get talked about and no one mentions pace, no one mentions draw, particularly pace. And then you see an outsider make call and everyone goes, oh yeah, what did that win? Well, it's got an easy lead. I'm like, well, you previewed the race 48 hours ago and you didn't mention it. So when we have a sort of reasonable sized field in the Cheveley Park, 8 or more, or ideally 10 or more, those in stores 1 to 5 have got a shocking record, particularly in the last 10 years or so. So yeah, Babouche is, the stores are in the centre at Newmarket this week, but they might migrate to the stand side, particularly on soft ground, by the time that this comes around. Even though there's only 8 runners, it could be an advantage to be drawn high. The one I was going to take a stab at a big price is Leovanni for Carl Burke, who it was only third to Celandine at York last time. That was in the Lowther Stakes, but did race closest to the near side rail when it was a case of the closest to the far side rail, the better. So that he lost his unbeaten record. That they obviously were guessing about the ground. He's only ever raced on good to firm, but it's by Cody Bear. If you back all Cody Bear, Procheny on on soft or heavy going, you make a good profit. The Dam Cyrus Dandy Man, another good influence for soft and heavy going. So there's an argument that Leovanni was unlucky to get beat at York because of the track position, and he's actually going to improve on what he's done so far, even though what he's done so far includes a Royal Ascot win on good to firm. So it's 16 to 1 from stall 6 of 8. I'll go Leovanni.
I was hoping someone was going to mention Leovanni as a big price. Yeah, 16 to 1 then. And another one then for Carl Burke, potentially James Doyle in the plate to rewrite that wrong then from last time out in the Group 1 Cheveley Park Stakes. Right, we're going to switch over to the Curragh now for the 235. This is for the Group 2 Beresford Stakes. Again, 2-year-olds over a mile this time, though. Now, Lambourne it is who heads the way again for Ballydoyle, so they'll be looking to pick up these 2-year-old prizes on either side of the Irish Sea. But will they be able to do so, Andrew?
Yeah, this used to be like, just back whatever Ed O'Brien's sending out. He won this 8 times in a row from 2014, and then sent out the odds-on favourite 2 years ago. Adelaide River got beat by Crypto Force. Last year, I think he had 3 runners, and they finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th behind Deep One. So I was quite keen on Hotazhell, a son of Two Dawn Hot. Needed the experience on debut, even though starting as favourite. Rang green at Leopardstown Maiden, finishing 4th. Had to be switched after meeting trouble. Won the next twice, including here at the Curragh. And then last time out in Group 2 company, got done by Henry Matisse, the odds-on favourite, who won comfortably. I think time will tell that going down to that one in 2nd place was like maybe the equivalent of winning a race. Step up to 1 mile should suit. He's £6 clear on Racing Post ratings, and if we had an Aidan O'Brien train runner £6 clear, you'd think that he'd be a lot shorter than. Is he 5 to 2 best, I think, at the moment? What's interesting about the O'Brien runners, both are blinkers. You wouldn't expect to see that very often, would you? Trinity College, who won the headgear at where was that last time at Galway, and of course Lambourne, who despite being unbeaten gets headgear on for the first time. That's quite an odd move, perhaps. So I wasn't totally taken with either O'Brien runner. Winlord, I had to double sort of think about when Andrew Balding's record in Ireland. He doesn't send many over. He's only had 8 runners in Ireland in his career. He won with the first of them as in Dundalk, and since then he's 0 from 7. But again, a lot of those have probably been running in in classics, so I wouldn't read too much into that. But yeah, Windlord was quite interesting, kept making the trip over. But I'll go Hotazhell. Might even do the Hotazhell Windlord forecast and hope that the O'Brien pair bomb out.
And hope that they do. Yeah, interesting. Like I say, Trinity College is in blinkers already, and Lambourne getting the first time blinkers as well. Just on his 3rd start, unbeaten from 2 so far. It's a bit strange, and something that, I don't know, especially then for Ballydoyle as well. I don't really like Dave, but Andrew taking the Ballydoyle contingent on.
Yeah, and like Andrew said, that Aidan O'Brien just sort of farmed this race. I think since 2011 he won 11 of the 13, but like Andrew said, the last twice he hasn't. So I was off of a similar sort of viewpoint. I don't think this would have been like a long-term target for the horses that he has at Ballydoyle, but I think some other horses may like use this as a nice stepping stone. And Jesse Harrington's got a pretty decent horse in this Hotazhell. It's the step up in trip, like Andrew said, son of Too Darn Hot. Like I think should be fine at the trip, but I don't know. I feel like 5 to 2 about the horse feels like that would be the way that I'd want to play it. But I feel like it's just going to have to be a bit of a watching brief. Even the market since declarations have come out, we've got in places, Hotazhell as short as 5 to 2, Lambourne as short as 7 to 4, and Trinity College as short as 9 to 4. But in other places, they're as big as 5 to 2, 4 to 1, and 9 to 2, respectively. So I think there's going to be some market moves to settle this one out. I wouldn't necessarily trust the money. And the 2 Aidan horses having the blinkers on, as much as Trinity College won first time in blinkers last time out, it was at Galway, which is a track that I'm always a bit loose with how the form will carry somewhere else. It's a bit of a niche track. It's quite easy for horses to be emphatic winners there and it not necessarily be the true running of everything in behind. And I think with Lambourne, the fact that he's won twice, 3/4 of a length both times, and then they've reached for the blinkers, it makes me think he's probably like a bit of a rogue at home or something. So I wouldn't want to be parting my money on either of those. But obviously he's the master, isn't he? So it wouldn't surprise me if he got one to go and win it. But Hotazhell would be the one that I would be siding with. But I will openly say I won't be having a bet in the race.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Like you say, kind of when you're looking at the range of prices as well that is available for this race, like it's all over the shop at present also. So yeah, tricky to really weigh it up on that basis for the Beresford. Right, we're going to switch back to Newmarket again for the 3 o'clock Group 1 Middle Park Stakes for the 2-year-olds over 6 furlongs. So turn of the boys, Achievely is the girls, the Middle Park then for the boys. Whistle Jacket is a hot prospect for this one, but a bigger field to go at as well than Dave. So you taking him on or siding with him?
Well, obviously, I'm real keen on Babouche. You'd think with me seeing her battle Whistle Jacket, I don't know, maybe people think I'd want to take him on. Maybe people think I'd want to be with him. Just to keep it nice and short and brief, I want to be with Whistle Jacket, to be honest with you. It doesn't look as deep a race as it could have been. Like I say, he's rated 115, 108, the next best that's in there. Now, Shadow of Light was my nap last week in the Mill Reef, was a non-runner because of the ground. Andrew's touched on the fact that there is a lot of rain potentially about a Newmarket. It could get just as bad. So whether they'll just run him here for the sake of getting an experience on the ground, I think they would have done that last week because it was a Group 2. Don't know if he will necessarily turn up, but they will be limited with the options they would have had for Shadow of Light. So as much as I liked him last week and people might think I'd look at him as a bit of an each way bet in here, I think that Whistle Jacket is just too good. He was definitely beaten fair and square by Babouche, but the fact that he went and won the Group 1 after just goes to show that maybe just on that day he wasn't absolutely at his best, but he's still a very good horse. This isn't a very deep Group 1 as far as I'm concerned. You could get away with having Group 2 status of this one, given the field we've got. That's not to say they're not good horses in here, but I think the even money about him seems pretty fair. I think he'll be the type of horse that bookies will want to get beat as well, for the fact that he did get beat on his penultimate start. So you might get a bit bigger than that, but I'd be very surprised if Whistle Jacket didn't win this, and if he was to get turned over, it would be by Shadow of Light, I think. But Shadow of Light's not going to get the ground that he wants to run on, so all in on Whistle Jacket, isn't it?
In it, there you go. That if ever you needed more convincing than to back a horse, add in it to the end of your case, and then everyone will be piling in. Yeah, Shadow of Light, like you say, was the non-runner then last week, and we were all pretty confident about him then in the Mill Reef Stakes and on because of the ground. So the ground again then this week's going to be a massive concern for him, hence why it's about 13-2 here. Whistle Jacket though, Dave thinks that is a fair price. Andrew, do you concur?
Prepared to be surprised, Dave. Boo! No,
caught him off guard.
I think Whistle Jack might get turned over. There's an argument that he was flattered at Deauville last time when it was a mixed card. There were 4 turf races, the rest of the races on the poly track. 3 of the 4 turf winners made all. The other was a 5-1 odd shot who came from off the pace, but only just overturned the front runner by a head. So it's possible there was a strong pace bias, and maybe the fact that he made virtually all the running on the stand side rail might have sort of flattered him that day. So at even money, I can quite happily leave him alone. Shadow of Light, I think, will be a non-runner, given that he was at Newbury last week, and we could end up with similar going. That balls is up the lovely each way shape to this race with a dead 8 and an even money favourite. The one I'm going to throw a few quid at, certainly in the hope that there's 3 places still, is Intrusively for Ed Bethel, who certainly is bred to appreciate cutting the ground, being by side territories. Ran respectably at Doncaster last time, finishing 5th of 20. He gets the cheek pieces on for the first time. That 5th of 20 was the only time in 6 starts that he's been out of the 3. And Prodigy, I think it's something like 5 from 14 in first time cheek pieces for territories this year, and a profit of £21. So I think the headgear, the switch to the ground that he's bred to appreciate, despite not having run on it yet. You go through his Damn Intrusion, her sort of offspring on heavy ground, soft and heavy ground as well. There's plenty of winners. So yeah, Intrusively could improve for the going, can improve for the headgear, and might just outrun current odds of around about 33-1 or even bigger.
Yeah, 33 is a bet MGM here as well. But again, do just watch for those non-runners as well, for those each way prices then for these horses. But Intrusively, it is then for Andrew. Right, couple of easy races to sign off with then. We head back to Haydock then for a 0-105 handicap. The 3:15 this is, 3-year-olds and over 5 furlongs. Loads of familiar faces in this one then, Andrew, for you to go at. So which of these sprinters comes to the fore?
Yeah, as soon as you see soft ground and hyper focus, despite the fact that he's a 10-year-old, you think he's certainly capable of running a big race. The one I want to take on is Silky Wilkie. You look at second in the Air Gold Cup in the first time advisor last week, but you look at that. It was a case of being drawn high and being up with the pace. Those were the key to that race. Again, it's one of those hindsight ones. I looked at the pace map for that race and thought, there's two potential front runners, Lethal Levi and one other. And then you think, no one's going to make all in the Air Gold Cup. Then you think, well, it's a tailwind, it's fast ground, it's hard to come from off the pace all week. And like you say, you're kicking yourself afterwards. The one I'm going to put up at a silly price is Never Dark. Now, Never Dark's a horse I've followed for several years as one who needs a smallish field. You look at, he's won 8 times in his career, 10 runners, 8 runners, 9, 7, 8, 7, 9, 7. He's a front runner who ideally needs to dominate. When he gets big fields, he can't do it. Basically, he ran all right at Ayr last week. He was 11th of 22 overall. That was in the Silver Cup. He actually did 4th of 10 in his group. And although there might be one or two others who want to race up with the pace, just the fact that he's got his small field for the first time in Yonks on soft ground is certainly attractive. I think he won this last year. Yeah, that's right. He did win this last year. He was an 8-to-1 shot, beating Spoof. And basically the market, he's priced up on what he's done recently on fast ground and big field, not what he's done in small fields on soft ground. So the conditions in his favour, Never Dark each way. Take that 33s, it'll be shorter on the day.
Yeah, as the outsider of the field, a big price to go at then as well. So like that a lot for Never Dark as the outsider of the field. For Andrew, Dave, who'd you like?
It's like I said with the other Haydock race, this is a proper classic TV race, a nice handicap to get stuck into where you genuinely could make a case for everything, as Andrew's clearly put out there because he's put the rank outsider up. There's a couple of like less exposed horses in here, and they're the ones that scare me a bit with these races, because if they do go and win, again, you just feel like everyone can have an opinion. It's someone will go, I told you so. And I don't think it's as obvious as that. Silky Wilkie's really wrecking my head though, having just run so well last week to then be back 7 days out in this, which is still a really good race in its own right. Obviously has come out bouncing of that, but I think I'm just a bit skewed. So unfortunately, we have got 8 races. I'm going to sit this one out, but I guarantee I got the winner of the Cambridgeshire for you.
I guarantee. Here we go.
Can we double it up with Babouche or treble with Whistlejack?
Yeah, we'll push aside then the 0 to 105 5 furlong handicap, because that's too difficult. Rather than the 340 at Newmarket, which is an easy one, the Cambridgeshire, the Heritage handicap, 3-year-olds and over 9 furlongs, 11 to 2 the field. Bet MGM, 6 places on offer as well with an each way plus races. 6 places on offer for you to go out, Dave. But apparently you don't need those 6 places.
No, don't need them. Now there is one thing I'll say at the start of this. I do the trendy bit for all this stuff, and obviously Andrew likes looking at them. I think lots of people do like looking at them. I think the last time this was run on soft ground, this winner came from stall 3. But away from that, you really do want to be drawn in the top half. And then I think quite a good number of the winners have been drawn in stall 25 or higher. We get a lot of these big field handicaps, but this is probably one of the biggest ones, isn't it? We get 35 runners on the regular for this race. So draw does make a big difference. One that I did like, but isn't the definite winner, is the Roi de France. Short enough price, single figures. The run last time out was weak in the market, was never going to beat the winner. If you could watch that race a million times, was never going to get on top. I think it was just a piece of work. I think it was just to get ready for this particular race, because otherwise, if that was as good as the horse is, he does not deserve to be an 8-to-1 poke for a more competitive handicap off the same mark. But I think Roi de France will go well and is drawn in 25, so a good draw. But the one that I do like, that ticks all the boxes of the trends that I've done, and obviously you can prove anything with facts, can't you, is Dual Identity, another horse that I've put up on this show before. When I put him up before, Brandon Wilkie was taking the £5 off, but he didn't really get much of a run in behind. Now, he's had a different jockey since, but he's getting the £5 claim that comes off. So that brings his mark down a little bit. Actually brings it back to what he ran in the race last year. He was rated 95, only beaten 3.5 lengths last year. It was a 34 runner renewal. He was drawn in 16, so he was in sort of the right group, although not quite in the top half. But he pinged out the gates, which isn't normally what he does. You're not going to try and then get cover in a big field handicap like this, but he came across to the rails. The first few home were all on the rails. He ended up like tailing off a little bit, but he just was far too prominent. So they would have come out the stalls by design to try and get across. He also ran here in 2022. He was 3rd of 28 off a 91, so a £4 lower mark. He was 1st of 8 in his group, but he was drawn in Saul Sticks, so he didn't have the draw again. So I think everything's coming up trumps for Dual Identity this time round. He's in okay form. He's run well this season. He has won this season as well. Brandon Wilkie got on really well with the horse. I know it is a big field handicap, but they will disperse and they'll be spread across the track. It's wide enough that you shouldn't have too many traffic problems, he says, and hope that it doesn't happen. But he obviously comes out the stalls fine. He runs well here. He runs well in this particular race. I think off his mark, it's conceivable that he can go real close. He's 25-1 at the time of recording. And as long as they don't go out in front with him, even though he does stay quite well, if he gets a little bit more cover than he did the time before, and because he's drawn so high this time, he should get that. I think he'll be staying on late, and I don't think he doesn't place, and I think he's got a good chance of getting there and winning this.
Confidently said as well then about dual identity from that really high draw in 30, like you say, on recent trends and for this race that has seemingly been the place to be. But Andrew, does the soft ground skew that?
Yeah, I've gone back to the year 2000. There's only been 2
That's a song, isn't it?
Sorry?
That's a song, isn't it?
Let's meet up in the year 2000. Disco 2000.
Gone back to the year 2000. Not much has changed in the trends, but the high draw remains the same.
It's going to be karaoke TV as well as Aston Villa TV next week.
I wish. That is my dream.
I didn't know you could sing.
I can't.
Don't know what to say for once. Yeah, we haven't had many renewals of the Cambridgeshire on good to soft or soft to ground, according to Proform's times. I think we've only had 2 this century, and the last one of those was in 2010, I think. So there's not really enough to go on. Certainly, recent evidence suggests you want to be high, over, middle, over, far side. Rono, top of the shop in stall 37, ran in that Sir Busker race last time. I wanted to take on Sir Busker. I mean, basically, with horses who run at York's Ebor meeting, anything that was sort of, ran well from a low draw or stayed towards the far side was generally flattered and could be taken on next time. Rono finished 5th that day. I don't think he was best drawn. He was 5-1 favourite for the race actually, but he was drawn in double figures. First 4 drawn 8, 6, 4, and 3. So Busker, came through more towards the far side. So that was a good effort in the circumstances. Slight concern is that all his forms on flat tracks, it's all sort of Redcar, Sunny Southwell, York. You look at his form like the likes of Beverley and Pontefract, not so good. He has won 3 times at Newcastle on the all-weather, but the highest mark he won off was 76, and he lost on his last 8 visits to Newcastle. So maybe Rono is better on flat tracks, but it's certainly interesting on that York form and from the stall 37 draw. And Waiting All Night was another one I liked among the high numbers. This one, it's got some good form on Newmarket's July course. Hardly been out the frame, I think, in about sort of 8 visits, yet to run on the Rolling Mile. But I thought if he takes to this place for Richard Spencer, 66-1 might be a little big for him. Of the others, Empire State, if it is heavy or soft at least, then Empire State of Mind would have a suite for the Quins coming out of stall 23. But what I do like, although he is drawn low, is Look Back Smiling coming out of stall 5, a son of Fast Company and a sire with a great record on good to soft or soft to going. Now, I bet him last time at Ascot because he had his ground, but he'd been off the track since May, so this was on the 6th of September, so a 113-day break. At the back of my mind was, is this a prep for an autumn campaign on soft ground? But why bring him all the way to Ascot? It was probably just a case of the timing of the race. He's drifted from 7-2 out to 6s. He's been switched widest of all. And when you switch wide for a run, you don't have to go 4 wide of the next horse. You can just go 1 wide to get some daylight. And he wasn't particularly given a hard time. And he only went down by a length and a half. I thought, yeah, that's definitely a sighter. And coming back, so going back up in trip, that was 7 furlongs as well. And of course, he won the Lincolnshire consolation race, the Spring Mile at Doncaster back in March on soft ground. So up in trip, on hopefully what is the soft ground on the day, despite being drawn in stall 5. Look Back Smiling each way around about 66-1. You can be wrong on the draw and still get a return. You can finish 4th, 5th, 6th, do best of your group. It's always gutting when that happens. You sort of won the race, inverted commas, but not on the right side of the track. But at the prices, he could be on the wrong side, but he's worth taking a chance at a big price. Look Back Smiling.
It's all factored into the price then as well, isn't it? With all of those trends, like I say, the fact that towards the head of the market, so many of those high draws are there that you probably are just getting compensated that little bit better than with those low draws. And 66-1, look back smiling. But Andrew, obviously, giving a notable mention to plenty more in there as well. Right, we have rattled through those 8 races. So Andrew, I'll go back to you, please. Anything from anywhere else?
No, not a chance to look here.
Not at all. Check the column. There you go. Another little tick for that one. Dave, anything from anywhere else?
Not from me.
Right, Dave, back to you then for your nap, please.
Well, we all know who
We
it's
know
going to be. It's definitely going to be Babouche in the Cheveley Park Stakes. If she is beat, then we're going to see one of the best fillies we've seen in a very long time.
Okay, so whatever beats Babouche is going to be unbelievable. So not going then with your Cambridgeshire certainty then on that basis. But Babouche, it is for Dave. Andrew.
I'll go Leovanni in the 225, the Cheveley Park Stakes.
Ooh, okay, right. Then Dave's face.
Just the hope the soft ground, if it is soft ground, brings about improvement.
Yeah, Dave's face then just told us everything we needed to know. The pure shock, horror, and excitement all at once then about Dave and Andrew then taking each other on. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show then. So big thank you to Dave and to Andrew for all of their hard work as per usual. Big thank to you at home for watching, to our sponsors, BetMGM. Enjoy the action this weekend. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll speak to you again next week.